Afternoon, Harford County. Before our oral history session, the business that we wanted to highlight in today's video is Ray's Caribbean in Aberdeen. We were recommended the oxtail with the rice and beans, and it was delicious. Unfortunately, we didn't have a chance to meet with the owner of the restaurant, but the employees were incredibly kind and helpful. We recommend everyone to give this restaurant a try and support this amazing local business in our county. Now, onto the video. Good morning, Harford County. My name is Kareem Wallace.
My name is Jordan Waters.
My name is Pregna Jagalapugi.
And I'm Amir Shaw.
And this is our second episode of our Voices of Legacy series. This episode is going to be on community involvement, and we're here with
Vicki Jones.
Would you like to tell us anything about you or your...
Sure. Vicki Jones, very privileged and honored to be with you all today. I really appreciate it. I am an employee with HCPS. So I work here. I also am the president of the Harford County NAACP, and I'm also a city council member in Havre. So I wear a few hats in the community.
That's amazing. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our questions. You want to ask your question first, Ms. Vicki?
Through your experience in high school, so having said you're a Bel Air High School alumni, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were there any experiences that were different from you as an African American woman from like the other students or anybody else in the community, considering it's a predominantly white institute?
Yeah. I mean, I think anybody could guess the answer would be definitely. Although I do know of some folks who have said, oh, well, no, that wasn't their experience, but they happened to be white and didn't think about what my experiences were like. But it was pretty difficult to go through Bel Air High School and be the one of just a few black students there. I was coming from another country at the time. My father was in the military. And so coming to Harford County was a little bit of a shock for me, but not so much because I had been coming from Germany. And so there were some things there that were similar, to this county, but it wasn't always easy. I had one teacher, at the time there were two black teachers in the school, and one of them taught social studies and the other one taught Spanish. And so the social studies teacher was really one that I latched onto because she was the only person that I saw who looked like me in the school. And she helped to inspire and shepherd all of us, as much as we wanted to just be the best we can be and to give us experiences that we wouldn't have otherwise had in the school. Experience after I left Bel Air High School, and because I really didn't feel welcomed, by the students. I mean, I had some friends, but I would get made fun of sometimes or called different things or, the expectations being less. So I decided to go to a historically black college university. I went to Howard University after I left. I actually went to, this is fun fact, went to a all-girls Catholic school for 1 year. I don't know why. I'm not Catholic. I don't know. I wouldn't have wanted to be around all women all the time, but that's what I did. I left and I went to Pittsburgh. They came to Bel Air and did a presentation. I was like, this is awesome.
What year was this? How old? I don't need to know the year. I don't want to put you out there like that. But like, what year in your grade school is this that you?
After I graduated from high school.
So it was right after.
Right after.
Oh, okay,
that's the school I went to.
Wow.
And when I got there, I was actually what changed the game for me is that I went to that college. I had been corresponding with my roommate all year long, and we were writing letters because there was no internet, back then. And when I got there, her mother saw me and said that I don't want my daughter rooming with a black girl.
Wow.
And so the school actually took her out as my roommate and placed another black girl in the room with me. And after that happened, I was like, this is just like what I left. Mm-hmm. So I decided I'm going to Howard, and I didn't apply to any place else. I knew DC. I'd had some family in DC, and Howard is the Mecca. So no shade to Coppin.
Howard's my number one. That's my number one.
But that's where I wanted to go, and so that's where I went, and I had an amazing experience. And I knew that if I didn't go to an HBCU at that time, I would never have that type of experience again.
Right.
So.
Yeah, for sure. It's very true. You guys got any questions?
Can you think of any mentors in your youth that kind of guided you through your education or your career?
Yeah, the one I can think about is the teacher that I mentioned when I was in high school, and she taught social studies. And she became a principal at Joppatown High School, so that's Miss Pam Ziegler. And so she was really an inspiration to me because she took us on field trips and took us to different HBCUs to visit and just really taught us about African American history, or really I would just call it history. She taught us things that were not in the history books, and she was able to share those experiences with us, and they mimicked my own experiences. So she was really an inspiration to me. And at that time, I wanted to be a journalist. So Ed Bradley, you guys don't remember who Ed Bradley is, do you?
I don't think
No.
I don't
Okay, well, look him
recognize
up.
the name. I don't recognize the name.
He was one of the few black television reporters. And so he was really an inspiration to me because I thought he did such a great job at communicating the news, and that's what I wanted to do. So my mom actually took me to see him in person, and that was just a highlight for me. And I was like, I want to do what he's doing, and so that's what I did the first part of my career.
So you did journalism the first part of your career.
Mm-hmm.
How did that go? Did you enjoy it? Like,
I did. I wanted to write.
right.
And so that's what I pursued, and I worked for a couple of newspapers and magazines. When I went to college, I did print. I also did television production and radio, and the writing part was where my heart really was. I always wanted to do that. And so I enjoyed it, the first part of my career, but then realized, didn't take my dad's advice. He said, you're never going to make any money, and that was the truth.
Oh, yeah.
So then I decided I got to find something else to do, and decided to go to graduate school.
Wow, that's great. That's great. That's a great backstory. I didn't know you went into journalism after you were
Yeah.
in high school. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's very different now, though, right? Because you guys, I still haven't figured out the internet completely. Like it's just
We haven't
so
either. Trust me. If we did too, like, trust me. But
I mean, if we would have had the internet back then, and I had to, when I first was going out and trying to interview for places, all of my articles were in a scrapbook. Like I had to print them out and put them in a scrapbook, like a picture book. And that's what I had to give as my portfolio to show people the work that I had done. I don't even know if any of that stuff is online because it was so long ago.
yeah, I bet it's not.
But yeah, it was a very, very different world than today.
Very different.
Would you say there's any, like throughout Harford County, would you say that there's any aspects of the county that people should like be enlightened about or like should learn about to further their knowledge in like the Black history of Harford County or just Black history in general?
Definitely. I think that one of the collections that I've been really impressed about is the Harford Civil Rights Project. And so Dr. Jamie Carmel from HCC has, collected stories about civil rights. For African American history, Hosanna School and then also the Color School have really tried to collect that information. And so there's so much to discover. What I find very interesting is there are a lot of people still in Harford County, here in Harford County, who know the history, who are a part of the history, but they don't really share it. And so I think that's where, like you all, these oral conversations come in because it's something that can live forever, and we don't have to worry about, someone passing away and not talking about it, or, some kind of writing be destroyed. What we have in our heads and in our hearts and our minds, we need to capture that so everybody can hear it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I want to kind of lean more into, like you said before, you do a lot. You got a lot of hats on, right? So right now, what would you say is one project or initiative that you feel you're putting a lot of effort in right now? Like, what is something that you feel like is the highlight right now? Like I said, you got a lot of hats on, so I don't know if you juggling through the folder right now, trying to figure out which one. But
yeah, working on a lot of things. I think for this year, for me, one thing that I'm really focused on is in my advocacy work is making sure that people in the county understand what advocacy is, and they understand more about the political process and who the representatives are, and just things like that. It's so important, especially for youth, to understand that. I was interested in politics when I was younger as well, and But living in Harford County, I didn't see anybody who looked like me in politics, so I didn't think that I could until I went away and found that there were others that were doing it. So I would love for our county to really recognize that there's a benefit to there being different types of people, socioeconomic status, race, religion in the room together, and not the same people making decisions. So that's kind of something that I'm looking to spearhead with the NAACP this year, is making sure that we're learning truly how the branches of the government work, locally what organizations are doing work that can be considered advocacy or supporting different groups, and then also just how that process works, because I ran for office. I had encouraged a lot of people to run for office, and I said, well, if I'm encouraging them to do it, I should do it. And I always wanted to do it. So I think also I want people to start, as they learn more, you can be more, and just really embrace that. And it's scary, everything's scary when you first do it, but it's so possible and so necessary, that even folks like you just get involved a little bit in certain things, because you can make a difference.
That's great. So when it comes to like governmental running, right? Like, because like you said, you started off with journalism. When did you see your path start to, okay, now I want to, because journalism has a lot of factors of, opinion, but it goes more from writing about something that I want to actually put work into or something. When do you feel like your mindset kind of changed? Because I know that kind of comes, I'm sure seeing that type of stuff probably kind of got you a little fired up, but like, what would you say kind of made that switch in your head?
Well, as I was interviewing people, I found that I had to track them down, and I had to be really nosy about their business. And I'm not a nosy person, and I don't like to keep bothering people. So I started to do that, and I started to realize that I really don't want to put people on the spot like that. I don't want to, talk about things that might be embarrassing to them, or just call them out, because I wanted to do things that were more meaningful. So that's when I shifted and said, I think I want to be more engaged in policy and learning more about policy. So, one of the places that I worked for was Governing Magazine, and that's a political magazine. And so there was an aspect of writing, but also understanding policy. And so I moved more in that direction and said, I wanted to be able to affect change in that way, and to work with nonprofit organizations that were somehow, making a social impact. So doing something more that I thought was for good than just because. Like, getting out information is important, but I feel like a lot of times as a journalist, you have to really, it's hard to be able to break people down and talk to them in a way. So it's more than just writing. You have to, and you see the articles now that we have when someone's covering the Board of Education, and all the things that you have to cover and do and see and talk to people. And I may have a reporter call me, and sometimes I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to say, sometimes I ignore them, because, I don't want to have that conversation. So I just decided I want to shift more towards that policy and that social impact piece.
Instead of the nosiness, right? That's
Right,
kind of
right.
what drew you away. Okay, so I want to give you the big question at the end, right? If you could give one piece of advice to any of the youth involving community involvement, and how to get yourself out there, how to get your name known, what would you say is one piece of advice you would like to give them?
Always speak up. Surround yourself around people that are going to support you, and do something. So that is so critical. Just one thing you think maybe is not important or won't have an impact, that really can. So even you all doing this is really great, because has this been done before?
Not to my knowledge.
Right, so you guys said, I want to do this, and you weren't going to let anybody tell you not to. So that's very important, because this is going to live on forever, so I congratulate you all. And that's the advice I give you.
Thank you, Ms. Vicki. We appreciate you a lot coming out and talking to us. It means a lot to talk to somebody in our community that cares. It means a lot. So thank you so much.